However, Satya Nadella will continue to preach that there is. He was at Davos, which is, I believe, like an economic forum, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if I can get that correct. What is Davos?
He's going to ask AI this question, y'all.
So expect a hallucination. It is, yeah, it's the World Economic Forum. I figured that's what it was. He was there, and he was there to basically talk about the benefits of AI and why he continues to invest billions into this technology. Now, this is also where he's kind of become a meme. He's become the used car salesman of AI because what he's saying seems to be somewhat detached from what most of us are experiencing. Part of what he was saying during this, I want to say it was like 35-minute interview. And if you guys want to go check out the full thing, don't take our word for it. Listen to the man's own words. You can see it on our website. I wrote a piece about it, so go visit the website, or you can find it on YouTube. But he was positioning AI as a long-term transformative shift rather than a short-term trend. And again, he's doing this, he's talking to an audience of millions of investors, not necessarily millions of customers. He talks about in the interview, I mean, they do cover some things that are pretty candid, i.e. the rising cost and the financial burden of AI infrastructure. Microsoft is obviously spending a ton on it and building data centers and partnering with people and getting chips made and all of the whatnots that go with AI. But he extols the reliability of the tool. And I think the guy that was interviewing was also mentioning, jokingly, but there's a lot of truth to it about the hallucinations, the inconsistency of the performance, and privacy concerns. Obviously, in the wake of Grok doing what it's doing as far as CSAM, so there's that issue that Nadella tries to talk around, and Microsoft is under pressure to kind of hit the turning point on AI. Right now, there's, I believe, a public perception that isn't positive. It isn't overwhelming. And this is early on in its infancy. So if you've already developed a negative sentiment, it's hard to get past that. I mean, Clippy never took off. Even though Clippy, I think people would prefer Clippy now than all the AI that they're being shoved at right now. Clippy was mocked early on and it never recovered. Siri was mocked early on and has never recovered. There are tools and platforms and technologies that are still around today, but they are not as useful or don't have the same mindshare because they're mocked early on. AI is already getting there. There are people who use AI as a verb to describe something that isn't real versus something that is useful or helpful. So if you see something on TV and you're like, or on the internet or online and you don't believe it's real, you'll say that's AI. More so than you'll say, hey, I used AI to actually, sort out my income taxes or plan a trip to, whatever city I'm going to go to overseas. Anyway, he spent most of that time defending AI. What are your thoughts? Again, this is coming on the heels of a previous interview where he was begging people not to use the term AI slop. And now he's inadvertently gotten Microsoft coined as Microslop. So I feel like he needs to stop talking. He's not Sam Altman. He needs, don't see Sundar Pichai out there constantly talking about this. Maybe just take a step back and hope for the best.
I agree with your sentiment. I think he needs to step back and take a hope, kind of hope for the best and let the programmers, the investors, the developers, the GUI folks, the folks that can implement this technology, do the things they do. And I think you brought up a very good point there. I love to scroll content these days. I don't leave a lot of comments. I don't leave a lot of likes, but I have noticed a trend in a certain type of content that has just, for somebody like us, I can look at it and tell that it's AI, but not to gross anybody out here. I was going through Instagram, I believe it was, and there was this video. This guy has a big blister on his back. I mean, it's like humongous, half his back. And he pulls the shirt off, and the doctor goes, "Okay, I'm going to drain your blister, blah, blah, blah." He sticks something in it. Supposedly, it drains. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere medical here. And you see another video of this person's got a blister on their back, and, doctor's going to poke it, and it drains. And you look at that, and you go, and you read the comments down below it, and they're like, "Man, I hope that doesn't hurt. I hope, I hope this, I hope that." And, there's people believing that was real. And these people had these blisters. Now, these blisters, you could tell they were not real. Let's just be clear about it. And I feel like Nadella needs to do the same thing. Just kind of back up. Take the lay of the land. Watch what people are doing. Watch what your customers are doing. Watch what they're asking for. Watch what their routines are. Because I noticed in a story that you posted this week, YouTube cleaning up the YouTube slop. Is anybody noticing that AI and slop are now being coined together? That may not be a good thing.
No, definitely not. And that just briefly, because it's not on our show notes to talk about, but YouTube is attempting to address the AI slop thing by offering more AI tools. Ideally, these tools are supposed to help creators create more shorts. And I wrote, very cynically, that you're using a tool to get rid of another tool that is the basis of the same tool. And I think at the end of the day, all it's doing is creating more content in shorts. And again, while shorts are taking off on certain platforms, I think YouTube still remains a long form. And I say long form as in 5 to 30-minute videos, not necessarily, there are some who do hour-long things, but that's its bread and butter. When you go to YouTube, I don't know if you're necessarily going to YouTube to watch shorts, or you're going there to watch someone craft a narrative, put together a story, execute a vision of whatever it is they're explaining. Even if it's an unboxing, you're there to watch the unboxing for a while, to get into it. If you're into the ASMR of it, or the hands-on, or the details of it, you're there for that. You're not there necessarily for a short. But because of AI, that seems to be where YouTube is going. Enough on that. So let's get to our next story, which is Adobe is going to introduce AI, hoping for you to create more content. This is a story you pulled from the hat.
I pulled this one from the hat because I kind of read that and I went, okay, we're just adding yet another place where it seems like people will want, they're wanting people to collaborate, if I can get that word out. They're wanting people to collaborate and let AI do things for them. So we're going to kind of go through this together in a world where everything is fast-paced, as I mentioned, and productivity expectations keep rising. And I think it's important that we have brought up AI, and it's bringing up that productivity demands and expectations are also going up with it. Adobe Acrobat and Adobe Express have combined together into this new workflow that Adobe says you can now put all your PDFs, all your documents into this one platform called Acrobat Studio. And Adobe AI will organize all this for you, will turn it into a podcast, will add in your marketing, your marketing materials, will make it so you can listen to your notes as a podcast on the way to work instead of having to read your documents. You can bring your coworkers in. You can turn things into digital bulletins. You can even make presentations. I have not tried this out. Maybe I will see if there's a 30-day trial to check it out, just to kind of see what it's about. But is this what we need? I get it. There's a lot of PDF content out there. I can see a place where these businesses that have page after page after page and hundreds of pages of PDF content, maybe you've got manuals, maybe you've got documents, maybe you've got company policies, maybe you've got contracts, and you want to sort through your contracts and get AI to tell you how many customers have this contract, how many customers have this in the contract, and maybe you want to get down to nitty gritty and compare who's paying what and who got a special deal and who didn't. I kind of see a place where this works. I can see a place where this works. But it's another AI service that got thrown into the hat for companies to pay for and learn how to use. This is starting to feel like Android was back in the day, when it was so fragmented that if you bought a phone by this company, your apps work this way. If you bought a phone by this company, your apps work this way. If you bought a tablet, they worked or didn't work at all. And sometimes it's still the case with Android, but that's not what we're here for. I feel like we're getting fragmented here, because even I'm getting confused. You've got Copilot, Gemini. Now, Adobe's got their version. Guess what? Adobe's got their version inside Firefly as well. And everybody's diving into pockets. It's going to stop somewhere.
Yeah. Again, we've been harping on this for years, and those of you who are about to roll your eyes, I totally understand, but I'm gonna have to say it again. Investors needed a reason to spend money. They had a hole burning in their pockets, and they needed to get rid of the cash for whatever reason, circulate it, get more of it. That's how the stock market's working.
Mm-hmm.
And so they turned what should have been called machine learning, and they marketed as AI as the new big thing. And everyone was like, cool, now I can take that money that's been burning in my pocket and I can spend it. I can spend it on this new thing called AI. These are just machine learning tools, essentially. And every company has had them before. These are just better versions of this. This is all machine. Again, when you were to create an algorithm that could understand what a PDF is and understand what the words in the PDF mean and put it into other documents in formats that make sense, that's all machine learning. It's not AI. That isn't artificial intelligence. That's just a piece of code understanding that this thing can be translated into this thing in this format. And that's what it should have been. And that's, I think at this point, when any company says, hey, we've added AI, it's just, we've improved our machine learning. We had tools like this before, and now they can do even better things. But again, that doesn't sell as well to investors. So we're stuck with everybody, including AI. Everybody's including spell check, essentially. And now this is just a better version. You went from spell check to Grammarly. Now, not only could you now spell, but the platform could then tell you needed a comma here, or not only is your apostrophe here, but you also needed present tense in other things down in your joining sentences. We didn't make it like, oh, this is AI. No, this is just spell check that got better. I said all this to say this. I also see this move by Adobe competing directly with Canva now. Adobe used to be the creative studio, not necessarily the business-minded studio. Canva started becoming the marketing business aspect, where you could go to create PowerPoints and you can go create docs and things like that, in addition to the social media marketing that you needed in order to cut small videos or cut small ads, things like that. Where Canva made that big announcement with Affinity, and they're moving more into professional creations. Adobe's looking to become more of a business thing to kind of equal that lane. They're going to be offering this as like, hey, I know you only thought about Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop, but now think about working together collaboratively for documents, presentations, things like business-minded things that you would have done on Canva potentially in other platforms you can do now on Adobe. So they're just trying to shorten the distance between their buying public and make sure that the distinction is a little more blurry, so that you don't drop everything from Adobe and move over to Canva. That's my view of the land, of the marketing land currently.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
And I think this is related, and I think some of our viewers might appreciate it. Apple for years has talked about the neural engine on their phones, machine learning, and they've been one of the only ones to do it. We've got these NPUs in our laptops now, and even Intel and AMD are in the game now. We can do so many tops. We can do so many this. We can do so many that. When do we start utilizing that and maybe start doing away with some of these AI servers that we talk about are so expensive to operate? When do we start doing some of these things on device?
That's a very good question. I mean, Microsoft sold it on their Surface Pro and things like that. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. Because I can't tell you. And again, I don't necessarily rarely check, only when I'm reviewing laptops, when the NPU is triggered.
Well, I'm gonna help you out a little bit. There is another podcaster. I'm not going to call this podcaster's name, but he is a developer, a well-known Windows software company, who used a Snapdragon laptop and intentionally tried to get the NPU involved. The CPU went 80% or 98%. The NPU went 2%. So this podcast came out months ago before the holidays. I think it was maybe even the end of summer, early fall. But when you said that, and you know how we've kind of gone with the trend here of AI being expensive and what's going to happen, I myself have looked for apps that I can install just to see my NPU work. What can it do for me?
I mean, give them a shout out. We're all in this podcasting get together. Let them know, unless they don't want to be known. Let our audience know where they can go, because I'm going to recommend some stuff at the end of this as well for other listeners.
Well, what we can do, I tell you what, I'll say who it is. He won't necessarily mind. It was Brad Sams. He wrote an app called Connection Explorer that, long story short, will show you where your PC is connecting, which is a little bit scary, to be honest with you. It makes you wonder where.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And I have continued to use it, and it makes you wonder where your data goes. And in writing that app in one of his betas, he tried to use the NPU to get knowledge of where things were going so people could see it, and you could use AI to sort your results and, create this nice output of this is where my computer connects every day and this is what it does. And the NPU just did not activate very well for him. And he brought it up in one of his pods. He does First Ring Daily with Paul Thurrott, and he brought it up in one of his pods. He says, so basically, what's the NPU do? And everybody says, look, you've got an NPU. Now, what we have seen it do is do these blurred backgrounds or change these backgrounds in your videos, but that's all I've ever seen it do.
Yeah, it's supposed to be doing a lot more. So the AI, I think, has been calling to data centers versus tapping the NPU.
Yeah.
Ideally, they'll hit a switch, and that will change, and we can start using the hardware that we've been paying for.